This is my only part that I really enjoy. This.
The nicest any of this is ever gonna look for the rest of time.
So the other day, pulled all the suspension out, got everything ready. Now we got both axles next to each other. We're going to size them up. We're gonna weld on some brackets. So this is the original Corolla axle, which you can see is mighty small compared to this monster 8.8. So, as we went over in the last episode, the whole reason to swap over was one, size. This one's a lot stronger, take a lot more power, but there's also a hell of a lot more gearing and also differential options. And that's something that's kind of important in Gymkhana, because I don't want to just weld the diff. I want to be able to actually run an LSD where I can change the packs and kind of get to operate differently. So that gives me this, but unfortunately it is going to add a bunch of weight. When we're all done welding this together, we will put this on the scale, see how much of a difference it is. So this is what you get from T3 when you order their Ford 8.8 kit. So basically they give you these mounts somewhere in this area, which will connect to our 4-link setup. All right, and then they give you this, which also does the coilover mount.
Yeah, so they're size specific. You want the angle exactly upright on the bottom, and then this little notch on the inside.
Sweet. But for right now, there's really no great math to this, except we're gonna make a bunch of measurements here, and then we're gonna translate a bunch of measurements to this. But one of the problems is that this axle is actually narrower than this axle, so math.
Math is the dumbest shit in the world. They should be teaching me how to hide my profits from the IRS.
We have a piece of paper, which is important for math apparently. What we've done is we've set these up right here, so we can basically start by finding our center, and then we'll work out and start marking our positions. This is one center, but then we also have to figure out the other axis as to like where those sit.
Yeah, so what I did is I zeroed out the pinion angle of both of these to 0, and then we'll translate that to these brackets and find this angle here with this measurement, and then we'll just transfer it over. It takes a little MacGyvering some random brackets and scrap.
Yeah, that works.
But it works perfect. And we have a stock tie rod here holding this one.
And that just happens to be, that actually is perfect. Oh, and this, and a shim, and a couple. Oh, that's my template from the seats I built. From the seat bracket.
So now we're at 0 on both pinions.
Okay, so now we know that's straight, so then we can take measurements from there. The first thing we're gonna do is find center on here, and yeah, we'll go from there. And that's basically our center mark on the pumpkin. We know the positions, we've got those marked. Now it's figuring out the angle, and it's pretty much 45. It's slightly off, but we're gonna make them 45. We've got Heims, so we can make adjustments. 45 is just a number I like. Find 45, which is right there. Tack those things in place like that. We got these tacked up now. We found dead center. We measure the distance between each of these, and that's how we got all of that mocked up. This was at a 45-degree angle. This was at a 90. Made it really easy math. And the last thing for us to do is hand hard bar mount. Look how beefy this is compared to
what looks like a spare tire holder. Like
on a truck. Yeah. So I feel like all of this was built for drag race. Anyway, so that's gonna replace that. We can't do the same math because there isn't another one. I'm just gonna measure from basically the center of this over to about where that is. And it's gonna be somewhat of a guesstimate. It's like there. Oh shit, the math starts that way. I should probably put the camera down and actually measure this. Now that we've got this all mocked up and everything's tacked in and in place where it needs to be, Jameson's gonna burn it in because he's a better welder than I am, and I'll probably warp the shit out of this axle.
Yeah. All right, so it's a new day. Scotto's not in yet, so I'm gonna take the liberty to burn in these brackets. We got them all tacked up last night. Before I go ahead and burn these in, make sure all the measurements are correct, all the angles are right. You also have to keep in mind, when you start welding one side, you gotta alternate to the other. That way you don't warp it, because if you do everything on one side, it's gonna start pulling just because of the heat. So I'll just start burning those in, alternating, switching from side to side, and doing little sections at a time. It's just like when you torque your lug nuts, you do it in a star pattern. It's kind of like this. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start doing that. so the brackets are welded in. Went pretty okay. Welds are okay. I tried to match it as best as I could to the factory T3 stuff. It's not exactly the same, but it'll hold. So next thing I have to do is I gotta trim the portions that are gonna hit the frame underneath the car. So this little ear has to come off, and then this tab, it's probably, I'm guessing this is like a speed sensor. It's like a magnetic pickup. This is also gonna interfere with the chassis. So that has to be removed. So, and hopefully it cuts well. Hopefully I don't cut anything I don't need to cut. So, see how it goes. Shit stinks. Still gotta come back and cut more on this side and meet this line here. But majority of it is cut. That's what makes it easy. Like using the sawzall instead of an angle grinder.
All right, so Jameson's done welding this all in. The only thing we still need to do is to weld this, but since this is mild steel and this is cast, we need to get a special type of filler rod that's gonna make that work. Yeah, exciting stuff. Now it's time to start reinstalling parts. Start with the front suspension while we wait for this to get finished back up. We've pulled all this off. It's all sitting over here. Quickly compare it with all the nice stuff that we got from Toy Tuning, so check it out. All right, so here's the factory upright. It's basically the entire corner, right? So this is all the nice stuff that you get from T3 to replace all of this. So this is basically your new control arm setup, all heim joints, plenty of different mounting points so you can really dial your stuff in. These coilovers, which have some Swift springs, nothing but the best on this setup. Really, really nice. They even included this nice new billet hub. It was really nice until I dropped it. Really, really well done stuff. And you'll notice this is 5-lug. 4-lug. Since I'm switching the rear over to 5x114.3, I'm gonna, this setup, I'll do the front in 5x114.3 as well. You see the hubs are drilled a bunch of different ways, so you can change them up, but they've got them set up for me so I can match front and rear. Yeah, by the way, if you want my old suspension, because you want to build like a perfectly stock 86, holler at me and give me yours. All right, so before we throw all this in.
Hold on, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we just agree that this is one of the best parts of a build?
This is my only part that I really enjoy. The perfect knoll situation.
The nicest any of this is ever gonna look for the rest of time.
This? I don't even know what the f this is, but it looks really cool.
And that's your, basically operates as your like knuckle.
Oh, so you have two options on angle.
Oh, you have multiple options. So much so that they include you have negative camber position, those and those.
This is your roll center adjustment? Right. Look how
That's a lot of science I don't
So
understand.
you've got negative camber position, you have reduced Ackerman position, and then you have regular position. I'm gonna set it up in regular position to start, and you can modify from there. Look at this factory setup. There's that point, there's that point, there's that point. That's it, you put it in the car. Do you realize how much stuff there is for me to f up and make this car drive like shit?
and your spring rates and your sway bars. And,
whoa, like this is built for really smart people. I don't know if I'm that smart. Like I have basic concepts of how suspension works.
Gotta hit up John.
John Parrott, John Big Booty.
All right, so we got the control arms in, just placed right now. The world of measurements begin. To make this easy, I'm just gonna measure everything off the start at stock positions and go from there. So these have a ton of adjustments. So you can actually adjust how long they are, you know, where the actual spindle sits. So set that right now for stock. I'll measure it off the other unit, make it equal on both sides. We'll get going from there.
Brian, today you've brought over a very special guest here into the Gymkhana grid.
Really knows rally because he's actually done it in like the world stage.
That's right. Without further ado, Mr. Kris Meeke.
I wondered who you were talking about.
For those that don't know, Kris has been racing in the World Rally Championship for a long, long time. Hyundai, Toyota factory driver, Citroen factory driver.
Into the car park.
What you probably know him from is this moment
right here.
No sign of backing off from Meeke. A big jump.
Jesus Christ, Kris.
Oh, Kris, not now. The rally leader off the road. These are incredible scenes. It's not over yet, though, as they get back on the stage. Maybe they can still hold on to the... Yes!
So Kris popped in just to say what's up because he's in town, and I don't know, we wanted to show him the Gymkhana grid cars that we have being built today. Kris, let us know what you think is the most supreme Gymkhana grid vehicle out of these three in here.
Who am I going to offend?
That doesn't matter.
So here you have Mitsubishi Evo.
Evo.
You were nice. I said Evo.
Evo 9 RS.
Evo 9
Thank you very much.
RS. It's got a sequential going in it.
Yep, Olin's sequential, 2.2 liter turbo, eventually anti-lag.
What will that put out?
Like a healthy 650, like a fat power band 650, and weigh 2,600 pounds.
I think that's my favorite. Before you even tell me about anything else.
Of course. So you build a rally car. Of course, the rally car guys are gonna like that. I like it too. Second, we have an E36 M3.
Yeah.
And under the hood, we have part of America. We have an LS making like 750 horsepower.
Yes, 700 at the crank.
Can I retract my previous?
Oh, come on now. Hey.
This is like proper full-blown race car.
Is this like a factory seat fit?
Yeah. This is the seat fitting. Go get the Allen keys and the spanners.
Mega. 750, you say?
750, yeah.
Can we keep it lightweight?
Yes, that's the whole goal. Composite panels. I think this thing will be around 2,500, but you know, two-wheel drive.
This will be special, eh?
All right, and then lastly, I don't think we saved the best for last, but
Wow.
Toyota 86, right?
Yeah.
But
Very popular back in Ireland.
Yeah.
All the hatchback models.
Yeah. So I couldn't make anything simple, so I'm putting.
This factory, yeah?
Yeah, that's a factory. Yeah, that's a factory.
brakes.
Wait, it's on both. You have both sides.
Oh, you've matched it.
Yeah. This one's a slightly bigger reservoir.
Brian's two beverage choices.
It's coming up well. Eh?
It's pretty much. Yeah. So I mean, is this what you're used to seeing in places like M Sport? You used to work at M Sport. This is the level of work. Right?
I qualified as a mechanical engineer back in the day. Was never that good at it. That's why I started driving rally cars. But I was an engineer at M Sport. Yeah, we definitely put this in the CAD machine and all got it laser cut. And,
Exactly.
All this stuff, isn't this nice?
That's very,
You see how much adjustments there are? You see how much math to not be able to be good at?
But if you built it right in the first place, you don't need adjustment.
Yeah, supposedly. That's what they say. I have all this and like one tape measure. This is the level of engineering that's going into this race. But under the hood, just because I normally build German cars, a Volkswagen VR6 24 valve 3.2 liter NA, which will make about like 280, 300, but no turbo, no nothing, just simple.
What's your thing with Germans? Your Audis, your Volkswagen, you're just German?
I mean, I don't know, man.
The face and reaction that he made when you said Volkswagen VR6.
He was like, of the three, which one would you choose to compete in?
The Mitsubishi.
Yeah, of course. We knew that. We all saw that.
It's hard to beat an all-wheel drive slide.
That's right. It really is genuine. But we're excited about them all.
So what do you bring to grid?
Ooh, yes.
I bring it a grid.
We think you need to race in it.
I'd bring my helmet.
Find a car for you.
Spoken like a true driver for hire. I like it. Yeah.
I can bring my helmet, my suit, and everything.
Yeah. That's
Ready for race.
This is what a factory driver sounds
Yes.
like. Build a car, I'll just show up and wheel it.
That's the smartest move. Well, Kris, thank you so much for coming by. Great seeing you.
Sir. So this is Jared. Jared and I have known each other for a long time. He actually helped me work on the Nova, the 944, which you're probably bummed is still just sitting there.
That's kind of tragic.
Right. And now he's working here, and he called me out and was like, did you bother to put anti-seize on the bolts that you're running through your Heims? And I said no. So he went and found some anti-seize, and he's going back and fixing it for me. Thanks, Jared.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. What are you doing?
Gotten some unnecessary metal off.
Are those OSHA approved safety glasses?
Yeah.
I don't think you have to squint with safety glasses on. All right, so while he's over there making noise, got the control arms in, mounted this all up, kind of did some basic measurement. Looking over there making noise. All right, so we've got the control arms in and the caster rods. By the way, these are the GTX2 setup. They allow you to do a bunch of different stuff. This allows you to adjust caster, but you can also adjust your overall track. So these can come out a bit. And then from there, you have 23 millimeters of bump steer adjustment. Right now, I'm gonna set everything kind of close to stock or standard. This is measured out the same as what the original caster rods are, which are non-adjustable. I can adjust that afterwards. This has all been measured out to be pretty much the same as what that is. We'll go start from there. The sway bar mount, I just started in the middle. That seemed to make the most sense. This looks really nice. Nice piece of kit. We still need to get new ones of these and some boots and throw that on. All right, so next up are these roll center adjusters. These are kind of wild. This goes into this. These sit on top of it. And this whole system is basically built so that you can have a ton of adjustment, but you can also use these spacers, which help sort of make up for lowering the car and sort of ruining some of your stock geometry.
You're the one who's ruining this.
They've given a bunch of options here. They have these like eccentric bolts that we can move and position in different ways. And then they have these spacers that go over them. Voila, that goes in like that. I can also make a bunch of adjustments here to give myself more camber. I can also make adjustments here for more camber. So let's start with the stock setup for now. We'll get these on the car, get the coilovers on the car, and then we will move to this, getting that installed. But we're still actually waiting on that filler rod to be able to weld the tubes to the pumpkin, because that is not it's not an easy thing, so. All right, coilovers are in. So the coilovers are in. Still need to set them all up and obviously lower them and stuff, but man, that all looks so nice. Camber mounts up top. Yeah, those work pretty well. We'll see how everything fits. The good thing with all this Techno-Toy stuff is you can dial in all of it. So pretty stoked on how this all looks. Swift springs, so hell yeah. And I still need to do the brakes and everything. Also need to do the rear suspension, but I'm waiting on a setup for the rear, so I might just jump right into the brakes right now, at least do the brakes for the front. That way the front's done. I don't have any wheels to lower this on, because I might go pick up some temp wheels from Motegi until I can get my custom wheels made. By the way, I do want to point out, I might have picked the most difficult project, but I'm trying to put in the time. Still a lot to go. Brakes, and they're big boy brakes. I think actually the name of the kit, I think is like the Big Daddy brake kit. It comes with some rotors, it comes with some Wilwood calipers, it also comes with some hats, hub face, so you know which way they go. It comes with the brackets for the rotors, and then there is also a whole front hub kit. Originally, if you didn't know, they're 4x114.3, but because I was converting over to a Ford rear end, which is stock 5/114.3, it just made more sense to swap over to that. Plus, I'm making custom wheels, so it doesn't really matter.
Flex alert.
That's the whole kit. Yeah, let's start to assemble the hats and all of that, and get all this on the car. We'll go from there. All right, so we're gonna install these brackets on basically just like this, so that they actually have the torque measurements. Since they went to all the trouble of adding that, and it is braking components, and yeah, you kind of want to follow, we're gonna torque those in. All right, so here we go. Little quick lesson. These are unsealed bearings, and unsealed bearings need to be packed with grease. So first off, get yourself some grease. So these are the bearings that'll go in these beautiful hubs. It's kind of a nasty job. I'm gonna save myself a little bit more. Put some gloves on. It's raining, you know that? Pouring down. Anyway, because you're gonna do this all by hand. When you look at the bearing, usually the inner side, and then you have this. You'll notice the gap on this side is bigger. So you should get yourself some grease, put it in your palm, and then you're gonna take the bearing You're just gonna push it down and pull it away. All right, you're gonna keep doing this. You'll notice now the grease has actually pushed through to the top. That means you know that section is packed. Once that section is packed, you move on, you keep going around until you get the whole bearing packed. If you just stick these in there and you just try to grease the outsides or just try to grease the pins, they will overheat and that won't work. You just kind of keep going through like this. It's kind of almost easier to do it without gloves. It's easier to clean them off. Let me get a rack real quick. That's how you pack bearings. All right, we got the front rotors and hubs all assembled. This is quite different than anything I'm used to. The hat actually mounts to the back of the hub. I don't know, I guess that's a normal thing in Toyota world. Especially it makes a nice little package. These are all torqued up. This looks really rad, and I love nice, just trick parts of CNC metal pieces, but one thing that's actually really cool is that this is 2 pounds lighter per corner by using that instead of the stock Toyota one. So it's actually a great weight savings, especially unsprung weight, which is like the best weight to save. So let's throw these things on.
There's no other footage.
Look at those brakes. Hell yeah. It looks so good all in there. So these things, 300 mil, but they're also 32 mil wide. Look how big that is. Anyway, makes them breathe really nicely. And some 4-pot Willwoods. That's quite a bit of braking. But the best part is you can still fit a 15-inch wheel over this, which is great because honestly, 86s should be on 15-inch wheels at the biggest. It's late, that's enough for tonight. Tomorrow, I'll plumb the fronts, throw the pads in, do all of that, and then we'll get sorted on this. I just want to weld this while it's out of the car, just makes it easier. And we'll throw that back in, get that all sorted. Anyway, there it is. It's getting closer. This is definitely the part in the build that starts to get exciting because you're actually putting it back together. And I've kind of accomplished at least one whole thing, which is at least the front suspension back in, and steering, and brakes. So yeah, that's like a pretty good feeling. Now, the big thing is still trying to figure out if the engine fits in, but I'm gonna do everything else first, so that way it's the last thing I gotta worry about. So, and I do have the backup engine out, which is the Volkswagen 16 valve, just in case. If I can't get this to fit, I'm gonna put this in. You better believe this one's gonna get a turbo or something.
What is going on?
By the way, for all of you who said you're adding a VR6 to the front, it's gonna make it really front heavy. Well, now we're gonna make it back heavy too.